All right. Hey, everyone. It's been a pretty long time for us just having to do one of these in a while. So, thank you all for coming in and watching this. Definitely means a lot, uh, especially given the fact that it's also Daylight Savings Day. So, do apologize for that. Uh, but you know what? Can't really do much about it. Say la vie. So, first things first. Today is my birthday, 39, right at the hill, and it's going to be a year of trying to get over it. Loads of fun. Um, but last night I finally finished this Mulan 6x9 mixed medium piece, and been a while since I've done a mixed medium piece. Actually, since probably about last summer. So basically, just trying to get used to doing stuff like this again. Uh, some of the other stuff that we haven't talked about on social media or anything like that, some of it just has to do with the fact that, you know, I've basically kind of been relearning how to draw, if you will. And it's been an interesting experience. Some of that, as far as my reasons behind it, I'll get into that in a moment. But mainly, I just wanted to uh, basically just try to figure out what I wanted to do within the immediate future, if you will. If that makes any sense. Oh, and that's there. But looks like there are some comments already. Acres and Movies, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Means a lot. And before I continue on, just want to do some really quick housekeeping. Haven Comics located 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama. And if you like the show and any other show that we do here, just like and subscribe. Pretty simple. Click that bell notification if you're on YouTube, so that you won't miss whenever we do go live. And if you want to know where you can follow me on social media, you just go to my link tree. It's got where I'm located on social media. But outside of all that, today, with it also being my birthday, unfortunately, daylight savings. It is also International Women's Day, so I wanted to do something a little bit fun, and I kind of wanted to do a homage tribute to one of my favorite covers, which is JLA #1 by Kevin McGuire. If you don't know what it was one of the most iconic Justice League covers of the '80s, where you had like Guy Gardner like right in dead center, and just being Guy Gardner basically. So wanted to change it up, and I wanted to do some DC Wildstorm characters, partly because I like Wildstorm, and I just wanted to try to put in a smorgasbord of different characters and see what I can do with the time limit that I've got. I may not have the chance to ink. Uh, that's totally fine. As long as I get the pencils down, should be a-okay for the most part. But uh, but yeah, so as I was stating earlier, I've basically been, and you're going to have to forgive me because I'm having to look up some references to apparently the new clothing designs, especially with Jenny. Uh, as of right now, I've laid out Jenny Sparks the Engineer in Fahrenheit, and then I'm going to have Zealot, Rose Tattoo, and Flint. I'll try to put Swift in there, maybe Voodoo. We'll see how it goes. Um, but yeah, so I've basically kind of been relearning how to draw in the sense that I'm trying to break out of what I had been doing as of late and just focusing away from, um, I guess, this, house style that I've been giving myself to a more cartoony, well, a better cartooning, I should say. Uh, you know, Now keep in mind, I've been working on this off and on in the background for a couple months. So it's not like I have it down pat. I'm still uh, trying to get used to how I'm doing things now. But one of the things that I am going to be doing for future episodes for Lines on the Page is that we're going to be doing less this and more interior art stuff because I do have a couple of projects going on. Want to try to get them uh, completed in a very timely manner. And the best way to do that is just simply, you know, doing it live, make the most of my time. So I really won't be doing any real teaching stuff like I used to in videos past. I know I kind of broke away from that last year, but I'm definitely breaking away from that this year. So if you're asking me questions in regarding to multi-point perspective and all that, you're just going to have to search through the Hebe Comics YouTube page and try to find some of those previous videos. But I'm actually kind of thankful that Jeff Spokes did this most recent iteration of Jenny Sparks, but I'm not a total fan of the weird uh, tank top thing that's happening. So I'm probably going to get rid of that weird tiny boob window that's like right here. I'm just going to get rid of that. Just go straight for the Union Jack. But uh, long story short, the reason that I kind of got to that point as far as just wanting to just kind of like relearn how I'm doing things, trying to get rid of some bad habits that I've ended up accumulating and try to focus on just really good cartooning. And we're at a point now in American comics where people are wanting just really good cartooning because you can have, all the details in the world. You can, have the most hyper realistic art in comics or chasing the current house style, if you will. And that's all fine and dandy. But yeah, for those of you who like the clutch your pearls, it doesn't really mean a damn as far as just the overall picture of hitting deadlines and being able to convey a comic and that it is within the spirit of what comics are. Yeah, it is sequential art, it is visual storytelling. But if you're struggling on deadlines, and I've been a victim of that, even my own deadlines that I've set on myself, um, then you kind of need to change how you're doing stuff. There's just no other way about it. So, like I said, we've kind of been trying to simplify, scale down, exaggerate more. Uh, but with today, I probably won't be doing that as much, and that's totally fine. I'm really just trying to get the ideas down. And yeah, oops, let's get rid of that. It's the one thing I hate about looking up the crap ton of references because you got like all these tabs and you're trying to keep up with everything. Um, so yeah, I am doing that. And I also realized that I do miss uh, the one thing that I really enjoyed about comics during the mid to late 90s, right at the beginning of the 2000s, where there was this element of just really good cartooning. And you had a lot of guys that were doing this. You had uh, Joe Madureira, you had Paco Medina, you had Carlos Pacheco, you had um, technically Arthur Adams, who's still kind of doing that to this day. Uh, Cole Sprouse with Tom Strong, even though his line art in that was a little bit more like European clean line, it was still very cartoony for what it was. You had who else? Ed McGuinness with his Deadpool run. You had kind of technically Tom Rainey as far as Stormwatch. Of course, he was just trying to figure out where he was going with that. Humberto Ramos, Chris Bocciolo, all those guys. And, still to this day, I will go back and, uh, you know, read those books and those stories. And and that's no offense to like some of the other guys that are, technically my influences, like Terry Dawson, Adam Hughes, Frank Cho, Travis Charest, and it's literally no offense to any of those guys whatsoever. Because I still get something uh, from stuff that they have put out or still continue to put out to this day. However, uh, because I've been looking at and trying to get my hands on more European comics, Band Desine, Fumetti, um, and seeing guys like Matthew Bonhomme with like Lucky Luke and Carlotta, super cartoony, but there is just it's just so good. It's extremely good. I recommend that you guys check him out. Matthew Bonhomme. Um, Matthew spelled Matthieu. Bonhomme. But I definitely recommend you guys checking him out. And of course, there were some other artists, like Tim Sale, the late great goat, Tim Sale, and of course, Jason Pearson, which I need to get my hands on the Body Bags Artist Edition. Uh, I meant to back that Kickstarter, and things just got away from me last year with backing a lot of Kickstarters, I should say. Uh, but yeah, I would be remiss if I did not mention Tim Sale or Jason Pearson. But we're starting to see this kind of stuff in a lot of newer wave of artists like James Warren, Dan Warren Johnson, Tyrell Cannon. Uh, we're starting to see some European clean line stuff with Hayden Sherman, of course, Nick Dragata, um, Matteo Scalera is another one who I would say, with all the Italian artists that have been popping out of the woodworks in the last decade in Marvel, well, in Big Two comics, I should say, I would say that Matteo is definitely the one that actually amplifies a lot of really good cartooning, whereas the other guys are trying to do a more Stuart Eminem, uh, Dan Mora esque style, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Dan Mora is a beast. Uh, I just really miss the parts that makes comics comics, and that's where you as a creator have fun. And there was just a lot of just not having fun. I mean, there would be like the fleeting feeling of it, but I just felt like I was pulling teeth half the time, uh, doing some stuff. So that's why I took some time off and was just trying to reassess, reevaluate of where I wanted to go with everything. So also, I'm not sure if you guys ever saw the free run challenge that was going on last year, which was awesome to see. It was great to see people uh, do that upward look or angle, I should say. It was really cool to see that and to see just people with multiple styles approach it. Even some people just kind of making a meme out of it was always fun to see that. But you can tell that uh, people out there were just having fun, and that also kind of gave me some happiness, some moment of uh, I guess positive reassurance, maybe. All right, so there is that down here real quick, and then we can move on to some other characters. Let's see what else. What am I forgetting? This is why I need to have someone with me to keep me on track, uh, as far as just trying to remember some stuff. Uh, oh yeah, so Substack will be starting back again. Um, so I'll be putting out newsletter regarding uh, what I've been up to. So if for some reason you forgot anything that I said, in probably the last like 30 minutes, that's where you can read up and find out. Like this is probably going to be the hardest part, which is the engineers weird headpiece design. Thank you so much, Brian Hitch, for doing this to me. Let's see. Okay, so I had put down a story on Instagram probably a couple days ago, letting people know that I'm actually going to be putting out two new prints. I won't be at the Huntsville Expo as far as tabling is concerned. So for those of you who were hoping to find me there, I won't be there. I am taking that weekend off. It'll be my first time not at the expo in 6 years. So sorry if anyone was would be looking for me or whatever. Don't fret, uh, because I will be at Free Comic Book Day at Haven Comics. Uh, unless something changes, in which I will let everyone know. Social media. Let's see. So yeah, two new prints. One of them is going to be a 30th anniversary kind of print in regards to Pokemon, OG Pokemon. So that's going to be the first one, and the second one is going to be Final Fantasy VII. Uh, and the crazy part is that I actually have already done the layout of the Final Fantasy VII one several years back. I just never got around to actually completing it and putting it out there. So, going to be making some quick updates, drawing wise, and then it'll be ready to go. One of these prints is going to be colored by my friend DJ Chavez, who, if you don't know who he is, he's an amazing guy. I met him at Baltimore a couple of years ago. I want to say he's from the Atlanta area, um, but he did colors on the Creed comic, as in the movie Creed. So he did all 4 or 5 issues of that, and then he's been doing colors for a Stephanie Williams book called Temporal. Um, I want to say that it's still ongoing. Um, if it's not, someone please chime in and correct me on that. But I will say, trying to do this entire angle and spread really starts to humble you the more you work on it. Because then you're like, man, I should probably have picked another angle. So who knows? Uh, all right, continue on. See, who is next? Let's see, got Flint, Rosette 2, and Zealot. Uh, hey, hey, Gerald, thank you so much. Thank you, Andrew, and also thank you for the happy birthdays. Let's see, what pencil am I using? So, this is literally just a run-of-the-mill Pentel, 0.9, uh, sorry, 0.9 millimeter mechanical pencil. The paper that I'm using is just run-of-the-mill Strathmore 300 Bristol. I want to say it's a vellum finish. Um, The only reason I'm using this and not the Eon comic board is simply because I like to reserve the Eon comic board for interiors. Uh, that way, so I'm not having to, you know, burn paper and having to make constant resupplies. So basically, just kind of been going back and forth and between the Strathmore and Eon, basically. So that is the long and the short of it. And we got another person chiming in. Zia Cookie, hello. You doing well? All right, so I think I'm going to put Flint right here. Um, and uh, funny story in regards to the character Flint. Um, so Image just recently put out a solicit for a book called Terminal, which looked really cool. Saw that, well, yeah, it is a Robert Kirkman property. Go figure. Um, but saw that it was going to have issues done by Andy Kubert and David Finch and Arthur Adams. So that perked my ears because I don't remember the last time Arthur has done interiors. And part of me wants to say it was that Ultimate X book that came out at the tail end of uh, the original Ultimate X-Men run, because it dealt with like a future version of mutants, and the only one that was from the OG group was Jean Grey. But yeah, I think that's the last. Well, no, he did. like 2 issues of The Authority, but I don't know if they came before or after, but anyways, on the cover of Terminal, that is, soon to be slated coming out, there is a female character who looks like Flint, in a group that kinda looks like Stormwatch. There are differences, but, I thought I was, having, like, some weird double take, thing going on, and, lo and behold, supposedly it was not the same character, but, like, it kinda looks like her. So, uh, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you know, like I said, it was a recent solicit thing, um, from Image, within, like, the last week, so you can more likely find the cover, on their social media or website, whichever one that you wanna pick. Or if you go to the Comic Geeks app, you should be able to find it there too. But yeah, once you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee it. And I'm not sure if that was intentional or what. But I will say one of the things that um, I kind of hate is the fact that a lot of characters in the Wildstorm property, they really aren't being used outside of Grifter and um, Grifter Zealot. We did get a Jenny Sparks miniseries, which was fun. Uh, but I just kind of hate the fact that the Stormwatch characters, the Authority characters, sorry, the overall Authority characters, um, even Gen 13, um, technically deviate. If you really sit and think about it, who else was a part of Wildstorm? I think that's all of them. Oh, Divine Right, but I don't think they're going to be using any of those characters. Um, technically, Wild Core, technically the character Backlash, but Brett Booth has bought the rights off of that character that he will probably never use. Uh, but it is a bit of a shame, really. And originally, I had like a random goal. If I had ever got picked up by DC, the only two properties that I would be interested in doing is either going to be Justice League or Wonder Woman. Just because I've always liked the League, and um, it's because of the Terry Dodson run of Wonder Woman from the early 2000s that got me back into reading DC Comics again. He basically drew the character how I feel like she should have been drawn a long time ago. Uh, because apparently people have been drawing her just like way too small. And I'm like, this is an Amazonian. She's supposed to be this, you know, CrossFit fit warrior princess, basically Xena, Uh, and for some reason, there are just artists out there that just draw her stick thin, and I'm just like, this is not right. And here comes Terry Dodson. He's drawing her exactly how I think that she should look, and I'm just like, this is awesome. So, hey, Jeremy, thank you so much. But yeah, um, I think my answer has changed in regards to, if I ever did get picked up by the big two, what would I be writing and drawing? Then it's going to be Wildstorm property characters. DC is holding on to these characters for some strange reason. I know that they've already shown the engineer in uh, the recent Superman film. There is a green light for an Authority movie in the next year. Um, so that was part of the Guns announcements of uh, different movies that were supposed to be coming out in the first wave, which makes me super happy. I did think it's interesting that they kind of changed the origin of Angela Spica because the original engineer in Stormwatch was a dude and he was a villain. And somehow Angela Spica ended up uh, getting hit with the nanite machines, and now she's this, the new engineer for the Authority. But uh, get this angle, this pose in. Let's scoot this down just a bit. So yeah, I know that there was a Wallstorm comic, or sorry, Wildcats comic that came out. I want to say it was 2022, 2023, somewhere around there. So it was like 12 issues. Yeah, I kind of wish that it had continued. And I know that Zilla is being used in Birds of Prey. Last I checked, but that is last I've heard. It's really all that I know. There's a random DC editor that's out there watching. I don't know why they would, but if they are, you know where to find me. Let's make this happen. Mm. Let's see, what else do I have? Uh, Outside of the two video game prints, which there are going to be some more, uh, if I got the time to do them. Let's see. Still working on the music comic, Ghost Notes, and I'm probably going to um, put it out, at least the first part of it, on. Oh no, I'm going back and forth. I do technically want to possibly have it as a paid thing on Substack, but the other part of me is thinking about just go ahead and just using Patreon anyways, considering that I technically still have an account. Um, so that may be what I'm going to do. For those of you who don't know, I do have a free monthly newsletter that I do through a website called Substack. It's complete. You don't have to have the app in order to sign up and read my newsletter. You just type in your email and you'll get an email. And I don't bombard people with newsletters. It's just a once a month thing, unless something pops up um, that I just want everyone to know and have them all on the same page. That's basically it. Um, and all my newsletters are kind of the same. Just talking about some of the stuff I've been working on, it, people I missed out on it, any current live streams or videos that I've done. Basically, just I interject them into there. And just showing off some stuff. And that's everything from interior pages to um, stuff like this, commissions. But one of the things that I have been talking about off and on is a music comic called Ghost Notes. It is a dual meaning kind of pun thing. So if you play music, you know exactly what I mean as far as what a ghost note is. But those that don't know, a ghost note is basically um, a a note that is technically muted to the point that it doesn't actually make a particular pitch, but it does make a rhythmic sound. Um, and it's something that technically kind of started with drummers, and then it evolved to bass players and guitarists. But mainly it was a percussion thing. But it made its way into guitar and bass, uh, and it's used a lot in jazz. But it ended up evolving past that and into rock music. Um, and of course, I say jazz. I mean, it was also like in salsa uh, and a lot of other different uh, music, reggae even. Um, but it's a fun technique, and it does add an interesting element to everything. But like I said, there is some dual meaning ish things with the term, and it is in some ways a slice of life. You know, some comedy moments here and there, which is also part of the reason of why I've been so hammered into doing just really good cartooning and really enjoyed what I've been writing and storyboarding, and I just want to go ahead and start doing the pencils for the first arc. But I do need to have someone go over everything that I've done, uh, so in case something needs to flow a little bit better, you know, I'll reach out to an editor to have them do the once over. But just thinking about just releasing several pages at a time, either on probably Patreon, um, just to make it easier, and so that way people are able to read and see the process of everything that I'm doing, putting this thing together. So I've been working on that. Also been working on a science fantasy thing in the background with uh, uh, Devin Arscott. So he's still patiently waiting on me to turn in some extra stuff. So Devin, I'm sorry. I'll get back onto that. Um, but yeah, it's definitely been an interesting time. I've definitely just had a lot of uh, creative fuel in the fire. Probably the most I've ever had in a long time. And it definitely feels good. And there are some days where it's just oof, last thing I want to do. But you got to continue on. You got to keep on creating. So Zella, this is probably going to be the hard one for me because she's had so many different outfits. Um, so I will say, I think my least favorite outfit for Zealot outside of the original one that Jim Lee did was probably the current one with Birds of Prey. I just felt a little bit not uh, Coda esque. Um, and what I mean by that is basically Coda being the I don't want to call them like warrior nuns or anything like that, but might as well be. But even though they're like the furthest thing from nuns. Um, but yeah, the group of uh, warriors that exist in the greater Wildstorm universe called Coda, and Zealot is a part of it. Um, gosh, what was her real name? Let's see, it was like Xana, something like that. Anyways, the one from the Birds of Prey, I don't know why they put her in a very samurai-esque um, garb. It just didn't really make any sense. Um, and one of the things that I'm always going to give props to Travis Sherry is that he was continuously redesigning her costume to the point that it was there was a lot of practicality to what was going on. And in some ways, the redesigns also would have worked as far as just like a toy design, if you will. Because I don't want to say that he was just kind of like Mike Mignoling it in the sense of, um, or pulling an Alex Toth by boiling everything down to, simple shapes, and that's the way it goes. But there is an element of truth to that. And I'm not sure if it was, something that he was, thinking about long term, or it was just total happenstance. But that's definitely what kind of ended up happening during the beginning of Travis's run. And do I do short hair or do I do the long hair? We'll just give her a bob. I think that would work. Let's see. What's another thing I could talk about? Comics that I've been reading. So obviously, absolute Batman. Gotta support Nick Dragata, the goat, or current goat, I should say. Um, the only two Marvel books I'm actually reading are Fantastic Four and Black Cat. Oddly enough, when I heard that G. Wilson was doing Black Cat, kind of piqued my interest. And uh, the artist is Gleb Mialkov, I believe that's his last name. Um, and he's got this. It's like a bridge between um, Chris Bocciolo, uh, Ed McGuinness, and John Romita Jr. Uh, in some places. So, you know, very cartoony. It piques my interest, and also was not expecting just a straight up comedy, which is great because I definitely just kind of really enjoy that. Let's see what else. A lot of independent stuff. I'm not reading the current story arc of Transformers. I basically just only wanted to stay for the Dan Warren Johnson run. And that's no shade to Kirkman or Dan Mora. I have read issue 25, and so it's definitely starting off on a good foot. Um, so far, I have not heard any complaints from anyone that's currently reading it, which is good. Uh, I am still reading Void Rivals and Intertown Universe G.I. Joe. I am behind on both of them. DC Comics wise, mainline Batman with Matt Faction, that's been fun. Wonder Woman, still. I think after 30 issues, actually, I might stay for the 31st issue because I think. But yeah, after 30 issues, I feel like my time with that one is at an end. Uh, it's had some highs, it's had some lows, and I know people like to crap on Tom King, um, but he's definitely one of those guys where if you haven't read any of his stuff before, then you don't know what you're getting into. At the same time, he's also one of those guys that has to write in long form, and I swear he gets the cream of the crop when it comes to certain artists. You know, Greg Smallwood, for instance, Miss Gerard, uh, Daniel St. Pierre, dude is a beast. Um, see, but yeah, I mean, it's just it's definitely been an interesting run for sure. Um, but I think King actually has kind of already been doing what he said that he was going to do, which was, you know, give it the the iconic run that it's never had, and so far he's kind of delivered. Uh, may not be in the way that you would think, but I've definitely remembered more about this run than I have any previous stuff that has come out regarding the character in the last 20 years. Let's see what else. A lot of independent stuff. I think I've got one issue left of uh, a book called Our Sue Stained Heart, which is this steampunk fantasy book, but it's also technically an interesting take or retelling on the mythos of Santa Claus. I know that's like a total just mouthful, if you will, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. The same artist, Stephen Moran, he is currently doing a Vertigo book called Bleeding Hearts. And I don't know. The verdict's out on me as to whether or not if I'm going to read that one continuously or not. Um, I did read, what was it? Peril of the Brutal Dark, which is one of the new Image books. That one is actually pretty intriguing, so I might give that one a go. Basically, just imagine if Indiana Jones was a private investigator and not a school teacher. Tattoo in. This might be difficult with all the tattoo designs. Well, DOJ makes every series readable and yes, I definitely agree with that statement, 100%. And I can't wait for the new sci-fi series that he's been working on for like the last 6, 7 years, maybe 8 years, somewhere around there. I know that he has had the concept of it back in 2017, but he didn't start really fleshing things out until right when he started his YouTube channel. So that was about 2020. Um, and from the panels that he has shown off during his live streams, there are like elements of uh, Drew Lay, um, Mobius, uh, Dune. Technically, there is a 40K reference because of this. The main character is using a chainsaw, or sorry, a chainsaw with like a spear shaft attachment to it. Whereas in 40K they use chain swords, but it's definitely going to be epic. It's definitely going to be brutal. The one thing that he accidentally slipped out what the title of the book was during the live stream, and then he went back and edited the title out. from that video. So I wish I had watched it when he went live, so I would know exactly what it is, and I would have kept that thing locked safely in my brain. Um, Other people know what it is, but uh, fortunately, I was like a couple hours late in getting around to watching that live stream, and I hate the fact that I missed out on uh, what it was and how it just ended up slipping out. But um, he's been doing this thing with basically. He was experimenting with it during the Transformers run, but he really started pushing it on this new sci-fi project he's been working on, where he basically just takes a piece of paper and he has been uh, putting down like these like random washes and swirls of colors because he was trying to figure out a new way to uh, draw galaxies and stuff like that without just having to do what's already been done with traditional stuff. Because some people will do Kirby crackles, some people would use like an airbrush, other people just have like just different ideas of doing it in black and white. And so he was just like, why not just do it in color, cut these parts out, and then paste it onto the board for those panels. And so that's basically what he's been doing. I just don't know exactly the method of how he's done it. And I hope that he'll do like a director's commentary for this new one talking about it because I really want to know. And I want to say that he says something about using like mineral spirits or something like that. Uh, I'm not sure if he's been using like acrylic or gouache to put those colors down, but it's something. Um, and from how he's been able to do it and put it together, it's beautiful. Um, so yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited. Don't get me wrong. The moon is following us. That he did with collaboration with Riley Rossmo is fantastic. Uh, that's another one I forgot to mention. Riley Rossmo, um, fantastic artist, and Jorge Corona. But anyways, that the moon is following us. It was definitely good. I might argue to say that it was probably about 2 issues too long. Um, but at the same time, you can also kind of overlook it to the fact that uh, even though Johnson was writing the story, he only did 25% of the interiors and he was letting Riley do all the heavy lifting. So he did about 75% of the interiors, and then the two of them went back and forth on covers. Um, there's about a couple of variants. Yes, yeah, yeah. So don't get me wrong. I mean, it was an extremely cool book, and the fact that they were doing this traditionally and mailing Riley would just like mail the stuff via FedEx to Daniel to for him to put his stuff down. Um, that was a ballsy move. So hats off to both of them. So Monsters of Kinetic. Yes, I definitely agree. And that's also something that I've kind of noticed with some artists, newer ones that are on the block, is that they'll try to do these action scenes with speed lines and motion, and they won't really do like a full motion blur. So even though they're trying to do an impactful scene, like let's say for instance, you've got two kickboxers, and one of them's about to throw a kick, and the dude grabs the guy's ankle, and he's about to just throw. Uh, well, in that moment of him about to do the throw, you could have done a stretch, um, and you really could have exaggerated on the force of that pull, uh, the I guess the exaggeration of, oh God, this is going to hurt from the other guy, but I'll see artists take the safe route and not do that. They'll throw in those speed lines in the background, but that's as far as it goes. And it's just like it feels so static. You know, you could have moved the camera angle just a little bit more. You could have exaggerated that thing just a little bit more, and it would sell that action scene a lot better. Um, and that's something that I've been having to critique on myself whenever I am doing something that. So, in case in point with the music comic, there are scenes where people are playing their instruments, but they're so into it that I had to redraw certain parts in the storyboards where I'm just like, there needs to be more what's known as smear and squash, which is an animation technique regarding movement and stuff like that, where they'll exaggerate on uh, if a person is like, jumping somewhere, then the jump would be exaggerated as a smear, and then their lands would be a little bit exaggerated, so it'd be like a squash. Um, you see that with quick movements of the head and stuff like that. They use that technique in various different ways in animation, so it's not just one thing. It's used in multiple aspects. But that's something that I just started to think about a little bit more. So, like, if a drummer is, you know, really getting into the song and they're just smashing that set, then there needs to be more motion blur. There needs to be more, uh, squash and smear when it comes to, they're getting into the music. Because without it, it's just a static panel. And I mean, you're basically reading something that you're having to imagine whatever is going on, you know, uh, that you obviously can't hear. So there are ways around it. There are always ways around it, and people that say that there aren't trying hard enough in using this, because dollar to donuts is that those ways around it, they do exist. Someone has already done them. Um, you just really need to expand your inspiration ground, basically. And that's kind of what I had to do with finally getting into like band destiny and fumetti, because there was just some stuff out there I was just like, holy crap, I had no idea this existed, and I'm just s- you know put it in an IV, hook me up, let's go. Andrew, thank you so much, man. I hope you have a good one. We need to get together sometime. um Anime masters motion lines without actually blurring it. Yes, definitely for sure. Um, you want to talk about smear and squash? OG Dragon Ball, full of it. Um, FLCL, full of it. A lot of the Studio Trigger stuff, like FLCL, Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill. It's in there in every single one of those shows. Um, God, there was another one, Shin Chan, which I will never watch again. But But yeah, there's a lot of that going on too. Um, so I want to just quickly lay down the idea for what was that of rose tattoo. I might try to put in voodoo and swift probably around here maybe. But it's neither here or there. But I do want to go ahead and get this down and tighten up some of these pencils, and we'll see what we're doing with time. Who knows? I might try to get in, Fairchild, Rainmaker, uh, see who else I can try to squeeze in. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot that's out there, and you really start to realize that you don't know uh, what is out there until you actually find it, and it's just a whole new world. Uh, so for those of you, now that I'm thinking about it again, for those of you who didn't see it at the very beginning, this is the Mulan mixed medium piece that I did um, yesterday, basically. So uh, it's mainly watercolor. As far as the colors, uh, small touch ups with Copic and, of course, ink and some tiny bit of white acrylic in some places. And I'll be scanning that and uh, putting that up on social media. So otherwise, what you can draw, drawing some interiors too. Dude, the amount of interiors that you're able to bust out is it's impressive, but it also makes me feel very inadequate about my time. Because like I'm just like, man, I really should be working on these interiors, and I end up doing something completely different. But a bullpen would be awesome. Just old school bullpen. And it's something that I kind of miss, but at the same time, I would know for a fact I would just want to stay home and not work with people. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. I did hear that the Huntsville Comic Con, aka Low Mill Comic Con, is happening that weekend. For some reason, I thought that already happened, and I ended up confusing it with a different event. But yeah, I do remember that, that thing's supposed to be happening. It's killing me. My kids hate me. I just turn your kids into like manga assistants. Have one strictly doing backgrounds, have one strictly doing tone and ink wash. So uh have it be like a tax write-off on top of the fact that they're your dependents. Seriously, get to work. I'm pretty sure that there's like some mangaka out there who basically enlisted their kids or their spouse to do something like that. Which, funny enough, that's actually a plot point in Bakuman. Which, if any of you have never seen that before, I highly recommend it. Dub or sub doesn't matter. It doesn't take away the fact of it's just a uh, really good slice of life, but it's also very candid in regards to the rigors of the manga industry. And I'm pretty sure some of the storylines were based off of actual things that happened either between either character or uh, their peers and influences. And that's everything from like the rigors of trying to hit those deadlines when doing a weekly book to um, poor health. Unfortunately, the creepier people that are in the industry. Doesn't matter if they're creatives or uh, editors who try to take advantage of creators. But it was just they did not shy on a lot of topics, but to be able to do it in a series that comes off as like the lighter end of PG-13, if you really want to look at it that way, it's impressive. It really is. There are some moments where it kind of harkens to like uh, crap. What was the name of that jazz movie? Uh, oh God, this is going to drive me insane. I gotta IMDb this. I can see it in my head. Um, what is it? What is it? Whiplash. That's what it's called. So there are some parts that kind of remind you of Whiplash, or some parts that kind of remind you of The Bear. Obviously, it doesn't really get super into it like that, but uh, even though the series is, I think, close to like 20 years old now, it's definitely 15, but I think it's getting close to that 20-year mark. But even though it's like from stuff that happened, at that time period, there's still enough relevancy to what's going on today, not just within the manga industry, but also just in comics in general. Doesn't matter if it was like the big two or what's happening at Image or the independent Kickstarter scene. You still have some similarity of stuff. Um, and there was an interesting plot point in I'm going to call it the third season, if you will, of Bakuman, where you had this guy who basically um, is inspired by the main characters and ends up uh, winning basically a talent hunt of some sort uh, that the might as well be considered Shonen Jump esque company. And so what ends up happening is that he ends up very slyly kind of strong arming his way into getting a series, but because of some situation, he ends up uploading the entire one shot online without the okay of editorial. He does kind of get a slap on the wrist for it, but a certain situation like that actually happened within like the last week or so, where a mangaka basically translated his works into English so that English speaking readers can get the chance to read it. He did that without the okay of whatever company he was working with. And it apparently caused enough of a kerfuffle that they were telling him to pull it down from online and stuff like that. So Um, it's really interesting to see that there is uh, some sort of mirroring of stuff like that that's been happening. And of course, right now there's also a whole situation where um, a certain manga company is protecting uh, someone that they should not be protecting, who is releasing his stuff under a ghost name of sorts. And Rumika Takahashi, whoever the manga who did Free Ren, and there's another. It might be Yusuke Murata um, and one. They basically just said we're not going to be releasing any more volumes until you get this guy out, because it's just a blemish, and they don't want to be releasing stuff under the same company as this guy, who should be in jail. Um, so don't blame them whatsoever, and kudos to them. Keep up the fight. Um, you could probably find the article in regards to that online somewhere. But yeah, okay. Let me pop this out. It's not a bad exercise, trying to do the whole Kevin McGuire thing. Like I said, it definitely puts you in a situation that you never thought. All right. So, with all that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of call it a day. It's already been about an hour and a half, and I do need to pick up my lunch. So, I thank you guys for coming in, for telling me happy birthday. Apparently, some people have been calling me, and unfortunately, I have not been able to answer those messages, so I will have to, I guess, call you back or something. So, um, thank you again, everyone. And like I said, a couple of things down the pipeline. First things first, Free Comic Day. There's going to be two new prints that I'm putting out. The Pokemon 30th anniversary print, as well as a Final Fantasy 7 print. One of those is going to have a collab colorist, DJ Chavez. So he is patiently waiting for me to send him the line art for that. So I'm going to try to get that done sooner than later. Um, Newsletter on Substack for the month of March. If you haven't signed up for my free newsletter, I'm not sure why you haven't. Just go to my link tree, and it's going to be the first thing that's there regarding Substack. Click that, type in your email address, and that's all you have to do. I do not spam people's emails with that. Do double check, however, if it ends up going to your spam folder. I have had some people tell me that they found out that it ended up in there by accident. So um, let's see what else. Trying to get Ghost Notes out there in the world, hopefully on Patreon. So hopefully sooner than later. So I can try to get those pages in. And probably also do some process stuff in regards to that as well. We'll see. There are going to be more videos regarding lines of the page. Like I said at the very beginning, it's not definitely been leaning away from the whole teaching side of it all and just more on just focusing on drawing and getting stuff done. And you see the process happening. I kind of wish I was able to do a lot more today with time, but c'est la vie. Um, all that being said, if you have not liked the show, or subscribe to Haven Comics YouTube page. I don't know why you haven't, but please be sure to like and subscribe. Last Thursday, Josh and Alan had a really good in-depth interview with Ron Mars. If you don't know who Ron Mars is, you probably should read some Ron Mars comics. And that's anything from his Green Lantern run to some of his independent stuff. Definitely the cross-gen stuff, like Scion, Mystic, Sojourn, and I want to say there was one more, The Path. That's what it is. So yeah, definitely. Be sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube page, and also just like and follow me on social media. Again, all the stuff is listed there on the link tree. I have been Thomas Price, and this is a good way to start off turning 39. So, all that being said, I will see you guys when I see you. Later.